Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about how to persuade your audience with content marketing, because at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to persuade to a bunch of strangers who may or may not have had any or little contact with us. And we have to persuade them to choose us over and above another service, another person, another offer, because there's so much competition out there. So how do we go about persuading your audience with our content marketing? Well, whilst I was doing my Googles, because your Googles are almost as important as your Kegels, I found that Aristotle taught 2,000 years ago that a speaker's ability to persuade an audience is based on how well the speaker appeals to that audience. So it's about appeal. And he basically broke it down into three categories, which is logos, ethos, and pathos. And yes, I had to go to Google and listen to how that's pronounced. So later, the Taurians have called it the rhetorical triangle, which is fundamental for effective communication and persuasion. In fact, this set of strategies has been used to influence an audience, change a person's views, and sometimes even manipulate a person's decision-making. So of course, when I was doing my Googles, I was actually doing this to try and see how I could persuade my children to do the dishes and do their chores. And that's how I ran into this article. But how do we use it for our marketing? So good persuasive advertising technique is when you basically balance these three different strategies with your audience's beliefs. I'm going to say that again. These three things, so logos, ethos, and pathos, very Greek. When you combine those three things with your audience's belief systems, so basically that's connection, that is how you can persuade them with your marketing. And again, this comes down to knowing you and knowing your values and your point of difference, and then knowing your ideal clients' values, point of difference, emotions, and how they are really, really well, so that your advertising can connect or your marketing can connect. So to do this well, you have to know your audience's interests, their prejudices or objections, but also their expectations and aspirations. So to be a rhetorician, you're going to have to go and listen to Google again. A rhetorician is basically a person who writes or speaks in an elaborate, exaggerated, impressive, or persuasive way. And we want to become like that, right? Because we need to be able to persuade someone. And honestly, this is why I get so excited when I look at Damien's post. If you go look at his post on his, I think it was his personal profile this morning. Oh no, it was his business page, Damien Murdoch, mindset coach. I actually did share it to my personal profile. When you read it, he's got his belief systems in there, but he has a lot of this other stuff, this logos, ethos, and pathos in there as well. That's why he earned himself a share this morning. Good job, Damien. So without even doing the training, he's done it. So let's talk about that triangle. So ethos is all about establishing your authority to speak on the subject. Okay, establishing your authority to speak on the subject by showing credibility, trustworthiness, and it does need to relate to your audience. So for example, if I stand up and I go, I am a internationally known stripper, that's not necessarily going to give me the credibility as a marketing professional. So we have to have credibility so that we can develop that trustworthiness with our ideal customer. So we do that by sharing our knowledge, sharing our accomplishments, our values, our beliefs. You do have to share your beliefs, even though they may not be the same as someone else. They are your points of difference. And I cannot say this enough. Whenever you market, it is about your point of difference. It's not about what you do that's the same as everyone else. You also need to share affiliations that you have with other people and any other awards or other notable things that you may have done. So for example, me saying, you know, I'm now a co-author on Amazon gives me credibility. The fact that Daryl has, you know, can share that he's now has Angler Magazine's review, that is ethos, all right? So remember, the triangle is all about having these three things in relation to your audience. That is how you get persuasion. So ethos, an example of ethos is buy my old car because I'm I don't even know who this person is, but it's an example I found. Buy my old car because I'm Tom Maglio Nosy. Does anyone know who that guy is? Or I could say, buy my old car because I'm Elon Musk. Let's use someone we all know. That guy's probably from 2,000 years ago. All right. So number 2 is, did you know the human brain, so remember the why is super important. Did you know the human brain reacts to emotions first and logic later? It reacts to emotions first and logic later, which means pathos is really important because it is how we sway an audience emotionally. Now, we can do this obviously through pain, but we can also do it through humor, love, patriotism, or any emotional response they would need. Remember, it's about them, customer focus. It's in an emotional response they would need to evoke persuasion in them for them to basically change their beliefs and choose you over someone else. So the audience, it will appeal to their senses, to memory, to nostalgia, or even a shared experience. So this is why storytelling is super important. And this is why your story has to relate to your audience. So I've got a story for when I was in the health, wellness, and fitness industry because it relates to me getting clients in the health, wellness, and fitness industry. I have a story that relates to startup businesses and small businesses of when I moved to the country and I had no money and had to learn to do it myself. That story connects with people who are in the same position that don't have a marketing budget and need to be able to grow their business. So your story has to be framed in a way that's going to evoke emotion to get them to believe you. So storytelling is really important, and you can use emotive adjectives. You know I am about adjectives. I love them. Always throw in adjectives and metaphors and other analogies that will fit your brand personality and resonate with your target audience. So it does have to, again, it's got to resonate with you and your overall brand and your tone and your overall voice. It's got to resonate with you, but then it has to resonate with your ideal customer as well. So for example, I had a lawyer who came to me. She was a very conservative lawyer. And when I had my Bitmoji, she was like, oh, I'm going to use Bitmojis in my marketing. And I went, I don't know if Bitmojis are going to sit with your brand like it does with my brand. I'm kind of like an emoji. Like I'm kind of that person anyway. So it has that feel like I'm a bit comical. But with her being conservative, the tone and the feel mixed with, you know, legal advice and then a Bitmoji, it's not going to come off the same. And you'll notice Daryl uses quite a bit of humor in his one. So when we do this, we have to also remember that graphics, fonts, and images also help evoke feeling. So consider your brand feel and tone and how it evokes emotion and appeals to your audience. Okay, so number 1 was ethos, which was all around credibility. Number 2 is pathos, is all about connecting with their emotions. So an example of pathos would be if you wanted to connect with pain, buy my old car because I'm selling it to pay for my kitten's medical treatment. So I'm using emotion to get them to buy my car. My poor little kitten's dying. Please buy my car because I'm using it to pay for my kitten's medical treatment. That's an example of pathos. Number 3 is logos, which is basically logical argument. And many of you would have heard me talking about this beforehand, is that there are people that have a left brain. And left brain people, they need facts, they need statistics, they need logic, they need facts, reason, historical data, surveys, graphs. And when you're deciding to choose these ones, it's really important to choose ones that people already know. So when they see the statistic, it's familiar. So it's almost like a familiar memory or a commonplace. So they go, yeah, that's right. So for example, often, I mean, I'll use like the cheesecake one where I'll go, if you've got 2 cheese recipes and you mix them together, it's not going to taste right. That's logical to people. When you say get off the hamster wheel, because you're going round and round and round, that's another one I use in my marketing all the time. Round and round and round and round, get off the hamster wheel and do something different. That is logical to people. So we have to appeal to people's sense of logic, but it shouldn't be too far away from what they already believe, because that way you can evoke trust with them. So something that they already agree or is well known or familiar to them. An example of that would be, buy my old car because yours is broken and mine is on sale at less 50%. So they've gone, yes, mine is broken. Yes, it is on sale. That's logical. So persuasive content marketing, start with a creative brief. So whenever you have a campaign, this is what I do. I literally do this. I'm going to show you my Trello board as well. So if I've got a campaign, like, you know, on Wednesday, we've got a program starting, get more traffic to your website using social media and email marketing. I will sit down and I will spend an hour or two and I will literally create a creative brief. And I think I've done this with Damien before, where I've shown him how to do this for your webinar. So a webinar would be a campaign, all right? A competition would be a campaign. A launch would be a campaign. Father's Day would be a campaign. So when we are doing things, it is a campaign. So for Jane, for Mrs. Red, if she's going, well, I'm doing a campaign, what is my campaign? The campaign might be the paint and sips. That's one campaign. For Deborah, a campaign would be a challenge that's starting next term when the kids go back to school. That's a campaign. All right. So when we're going to create a campaign, we have to look at persuasive content marketing. And we start with a creative brief. So included in the creative brief is your date, your time, your audience. And remember, when we talk about audience, we talk about you're stalking them like they're Chris Hemsworth. Like you want to know absolutely everything about them, every nook and cranny. Date, time, audience, specific goals. So you need to write down how many of these are you wanting to sell and in what time frame and who are you wanting to buy it. Specific goals. You have to look at the overall strategy, and the overall strategy should always come back to money. Always does. For me, it's like, right, I've got this program. How many do I want to sell? So I know how many I'm chasing. Then I've got to look at who is that person that is most likely to buy it, and what do I need to say to them to persuade them in order to buy it. Then you go in your creative brief, you go and create all the visuals for them. Now, remember, we mentioned this earlier. The visuals still need to evoke pathos, emotion. Your visuals need to create emotion with your audience. You then have to have your key messages. The key messages has to get you here, like get your audience right here, and it's got to stop them from scrolling. In your creative brief, you've got to have a call to action. Make sure that you can take payments simply. Make sure that you've got a landing page. I had someone contact me this week and said, please, can you do social media management for us? And I said to them, sorry, I can't, because you don't have a funnel. I can go and tell people to download your resource, but your resource has got the wrong name, doesn't say who it's for, wrong name, doesn't say who it's for. You don't have any email marketing set up. So there's no point in me going and doing persuasive content marketing, and we're not able to capture those leads or convert them with persuasive content or nurture them. You then want to have a timeline. So you have to have a timeline. So for example, as we came to the end of the government grants, we've got 3 days left for you to apply for the grant. Time is closing, 2 days left. There's a countdown, there's a timeline. Today's the last day for you to register for that. Set your clock. Here is a reminder. So your content changes and your language changes to get the right required action, but in time for it. Then you, of course, are going to do an absolute brain dump of persuasive content, which of course is going to go through the sales copy template, which I'm sure Jody was using. Jody, were you using the sales copy template when you were doing your copy on your website this week? When you go through the sales copy template and you work through that exercise, literally you have to work through that exercise for every campaign that you do. And I never, ever recommend working on 2 campaigns at the same time, because your brain cannot do it. You become too general, you become too fluffy, and you do not become niche and customer specific enough. So when you're creating your persuasive content, we want to ensure that you're including the ethos, the logos, and the pathos. So credibility and authority. Logos is logic and facts. And pathos is emotional response. Then included in your creative brief, we want to be looking at the channels. What are you going to be doing? Which channels are you going to be doing them on? Facebook, Instagram, stories. And you may wish to include a mood board, okay? Especially the creative people here like Jane. I know that that would just really excite her to go and basically create a mood board. So what is a mood board? A mood board is a collage of images that looks like your project. So it's almost like a vision board for your campaign. Go Mood Board is one of the most popular online mood boards apps. You don't need an account. And you can simply create a mood board and you can click and drag images onto your project. In Canva, there's also many mood board templates where you can select or add images to it. And I am going to show you how I did mine. So when creating a persuasive marketing campaign, ask yourself this. Does my content showcase my authority? Does my content evoke their specific emotions in them? Does my content rely on logic to them? Not to you, to them. Is it logical for them? And of course, don't forget these things: a captivating headline that stops the right person from scrolling, a short and effective next step call to action, and a great visual that connects with them emotionally. So I'm going to take you to my Trello board. Let's go here. So this is my Trello board, which has got heaps of stuff on it, and all my VAs have access to it. So whenever I do my events, this is how I set it up on Trello. This one over here was for my Get More Sales on Your Website Using Social Media. You can see there's a date on there. So I know that right now that's what we're all promoting across socials and emails. When you click into it, I have used the sales copy. And I've gone through, and this is over here is all the sales copy that I've done, including putting how I'm going to present the pricing, including any bonuses or special offers, including a payment link to accept payment. You can see I've brain dumped more here. And then down below, I've literally gone into Canva, and in Canva, I have made graphics and I've made GIFs, little videos. And I've made a whole bunch of different variations, including the event graphics as well. Then down at the bottom, I've created checklists. Obviously, this is a checklist for my team. But in the olden days, it used to be a checklist for myself. I literally would be go in and create the payment link, go and post on Facebook, go and do this, go and do that. And you could create that all on there. But that over there basically would be a creative brief. You can in here add checklists on the right-hand side, attachments on the right-hand side, and you can even have dates, like due dates of when this has got to be. Then all this means is now that I've spent my 1 to 2 hours doing my whole campaign creative brief correctly, then I go and I create a content plan, a persuasive content plan based on this. Going, how can I use my logic, credibility, and emotion and create posts across Facebook, Instagram, Stories, LinkedIn, Google My Business, and on the events page to point people to come and do this program. And we literally come in here and we go and we create emails. So I'll just show you here. Here's our email marketing schedule. There's the emails. If an email, I will write what needs to go in that email. So I'll write what goes in that email. When that email has been created and scheduled, it gets ticked off and it gets a line through it. So that's my email content plan. And then my emails get broken up into smaller posts to go onto social media. But it all starts with working out what I'm trying to achieve, to who I'm trying to achieve it, and how am I going to persuade them to buy this program. And I do that by going and filling out this content plan and doing this creative brief, because too many people will go, I'll set up the event. I'll just set it up and I'll just put a payment link in it. And there's no sales copy. Or I'll go and write an email, but you actually haven't brain dumped the copy, the persuasive content, or brain dumped who this is for and how you're going to convince them, the convincer. And this is what I do for all my projects now, for all my campaigns, all my projects. Does anyone have any questions? Comments?
Yeah, can you just show us some of the headings on your Trello board there?
I can. I don't know if they're going to make any sense to you though, but yes, I'm happy to. Let's just go in here. All right, cool. So this one over here is next events to promote. So literally down over here, these are all the events in here and they're in order. So you can drag them along. So you can see all the events are in there, and these actually get added to the bottom of all my emails. So all my events at the bottom of every email that goes out. This is logins and trainings. This over here is just for my VAs. So if they don't know how to upload a blog, or if they don't know how to add SEO to a blog, little videos and little trainings are put in there. But basically, if they need any logins, like you can see the grant process is in there as well. So if they're looking for any resources to assist them, that's there. This is my Chantel to do. That's my VAs to do. That's my email marketing schedule. That's my one VA to do. This is my other VA to do. This is joint client projects that we work on. So you can see Deborah's in there. She's actually in there twice. Sweat and Success. So you can see they're in there because Jen is doing some of the website for Deborah. So our joint clients are in there so that when I work with Deborah and she works with Deborah, there's communication and that gets added to the board. This is another VA over here and her job. So what she does, oh, I've got a notification there. So I haven't checked that. So I do need to go in and check that one there. Clients that we manage social media for over there as well. I do have pitches. So this is, if you have a VA that is pitching on your behalf, I have since stopped that. I find it's not as effective. So what I do is I have a whole bunch of pitches. If someone's looking for a funnel, that's a pitch. If someone's looking for branding and a website content, I'll write pitches in there. So like an elevator pitch, but I'll write pitches in there. So if the VAs see it, they can copy my words and go, that's the right one, because I want it to sit well. But instead, what we do now is if they see a pitch that they think that I should try for, they actually just send me the link now and I do it because I find it's more effective. Signature programs. So if they're just looking for any of my program information, they can go in there and all the program information is in there. Payment links, content, everything is inside there. Oh, just resources to use. So that's my content bucket. So words for emails. Everyone has a content bucket. So when they're creating emails, they can use my words to create that content. Branding, images and collateral, awards information. So that if they find an award, they can enter the award on my behalf. This is a VA to make changes on my website. Website and programs inspo. So say when you see something and you go, that's awesome, I really want to do that, but right now you're busy and you can't do that. I literally just add it to this board. That way it's still there. And, you know, down the track, if I'm looking for inspiration or looking for a new thing, I can go in there and do it. And that's my other VAs to do.
Yeah, so you don't have a board for each marketing campaign with all your content bucket. So where would the content
we did that. We did that. Yeah, so Damien, what happened, and this is only because of, I had it all separately. I had a board and I mapped it out like you're talking about long ways, right? When I first started, that's how I did it. But what happened is because VAs, I've got 3 VAs now, they all do different parts. All 3 of them would have to have access, which means I'd have to tag all 3 every single time. Whereas now they've got everything on their board. So they can go in and find their part on the board. So 100%. Just because I'm doing it this way doesn't mean that's the way for you to do it.
Yeah.
I've always done it the way that you're talking about, where I map it out. In fact, I love coming up with courses and doing that in Trello. I'm just trying to see another way. I think it was this one. This way over here, where I map it out long ways. So the topics, the content bucket, the avatar, the graphics, like you could work it out that way. Your niche, your point of difference, your branding, your social proof. Like you can 100% do that and then just give access to your VA. But we have everything now on one board now for my entire team. So all 3 VAs are on here, and then they've got different colors tagged on what's appropriate for them. This destroys my brain, Damien. Your way's nicer, the way I did it in the olden days. But now I'm a big girl. I got to put my big girl panties on with my bigger business. And it's just a way for me to manage 3 people. And if anyone gets sick, like last week, Jen got sick. So because she got sick, I had to, another VA had to pick up and do her stuff so she can go into that board. I didn't have to share it. She could just go and see where Jen's at and just carry on. Any other questions? Deborah, you're asking about the previous funnel marketing training. Are you talking about was that the Monday recording? If it is the Monday recording, yes, it will be in the VIP group. And you should see the new nice little infographic, or you can go into YouTube. You should be able to find it there as well.
Okay, cool.
They're always there within 24 hours because we've got government grants going tomorrow at 9 a.m. There is a chance that it might be delayed by a couple of days because that's our priority right now. But that's why you need to attend live. And as a VIPP, you do get to attend live and answer questions and see it as it happens.